Showtime! The capital G show starts right now.
Cold, calculated, ruthless, genius. All words that come to mind when describing Yugioh's brilliant CEO of Kaiba Corporation. But another I'd use is iconic. There's no doubt about it, Seto Kaiba is one of the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise's most popular, beloved, and revered characters. I've already made a full top 10 on why I believe he's Yu-Gi-Oh's best character, and in this video, I thought it'd be nice to take a look at his most memorable and iconic cards. I'll be ranking them not just based on how powerful or good the cards actually are/were, but also how recognizable and popular the cards themselves are, especially in relation to Seto Kaiba himself. Essentially, when you think Kaiba, these should be the first cards that come to your mind. I'll be limiting this video to cards that appeared in the Duel Monsters story, so anything from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX or newly released cards that strictly appear in the physical card game will not be included. Without further ado, welcome to the top 10 iconic cards used by Seto Kaiba, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hierarchy. Looking for a fun and action-packed game that's filled with exciting gameplay and gorgeous visuals? Well, look no further than Dungeon Fighter Online. DFO is a side-scrolling action RPG that combines all the best elements of old-school beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage with deep and rewarding RPG elements such as leveling up, a loot system, and over 16 completely different character classes to choose from. DFO's gameplay is incredible. It's super fast and flashy, but also has challenging and tough bosses that'll keep you on your toes. DFO will be launching the Hot Summer Festival running June 29th through August 10th. The festival is full of events that are great for leveling up your character and makes it easier than ever to get the best gear for players new and old to the game. Also, be sure to check out the DFO Hero Academy. This lets everyone achieve the max level of 100 at a ridiculously fast rate through the power leveling mode. At level 100, you'll be able to access a special dungeon that features epic and mythic gear. Not sure what class to choose? Well, check out the new female gunner class releasing June 29th. Not only does she look cool, but she'll also be getting her own Neo Awakening update, which gives her access to new powerful moves and special buffs. Lastly, check out DFO's friendly and active community on Reddit, Twitch, and Discord in the links below. Some of the players might even be able to show you some of the top secrets to beat the toughest dungeons. With all that said, get out there and start playing right now. Download Dungeon Fighter Online using the links in the description below, and definitely use those coupon codes for free extras and add-ons. Number 10, Ring of Destruction. Let's start the list off with my personal favorite Kaiba card that could best be described as explosive, pun intended. This is without a doubt one of the best trap cards the Duelist Extraordinaire ever used, allowing Kaiba to destroy any face-up monster on the field, then inflict direct damage to both duelists equal to that monster's attack. Ring of Destruction wasn't just excellent removal, but in its prime was considered one of the most versatile cards ever. Whether used defensively to stop opposing monsters, as Kaiba primarily used it in the anime, or on your own monsters after attacking, which became one of the most famous plays used in real-life competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Ring of Destruction was a grade A card in a multitude of situations at all stages of the duel. Much like another trap that we'll cover later, this card's fanfare wasn't simply related to the anime, but also because of its overwhelming popularity and impact in the physical card game's competitive meta. In fact, Ring of Destruction was so prevalent that the card was banned on multiple occasions and was ultimately errated so that it could return to legal status. Number 9, Vors Raider. Let me explain. I never said every card on this list had to be insanely broken or even powerful. I just said iconic, and if you know Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, you know that this was one of Kaiba's mainstays for basically the entirety of the show. Seriously, Vors Raider first appears in Yugi and Kaiba's tag duel during Battle City, and remains a constant contributor in Kaiba's deck through Virtual World, the Battle City Finals, Waking the Dragons. He even uses it towards the end of the show in the Dawn of the Duel arc. Vors Raider may not be on the same level as some of the other cards that are on this list in terms of power. However, if you were to judge it based on the time it first appeared in the anime, you might be shocked to learn that Vors Raider is actually pretty solid by that standard. For context, Loomis's Mask of Restrict was the cover card for the 5th core booster set Labyrinth of Nightmare. The Hobby League secret rare for that very set was the highly sought after and competitively viable Gemini Elf. a card that, for all intents and purposes, was pretty much the same exact card as Vors Raider. Number 8, Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. So this card obviously didn't appear in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime, however, Dark Side of Dimensions is officially canon to DM, so it counts. With that said, Yu-Gi-Oh's first ritual form of Blue Eyes was a roaring success. Not only is this card unbelievably popular, like to the extent that I still don't fully understand it, but this behemoth is all-world powerful. Chaos Max offers a massive 4,000 attack, complete immunity from targeting and destruction-based effects from the opponent, and tops this all off with the absurd double piercing damage, which basically guarantees death to the opponent. For anyone out the loop, keep in mind, double piercing damage is something that never existed in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Prior to Chaos Max and was literally created on the spot for this specific card. To this day, only one other monster shares this effect. To be honest, I'd probably rank this card higher on the list, but Kaiba did only use it once. Number 7, XYZ Dragon Cannon. For my money, XYZ Dragon Cannon is probably Kaiba's most unique boss monster in the anime series. Much like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, XYZ Dragon Cannon requires 3 very specific monsters to bring out. However, this fusion is summoned far differently than almost any other from the DM era. Dragon Cannon banishes the monsters from the field and omits polymerization from the process entirely. It's got a beefy 2800 attack and can destroy any monster on the opponent's field for a discard. By 2003 standards, it was actually a pretty respectable boss monster, and Seto Kaiba only broke this bad boy out against some of his toughest opponents, including Yugi, Siegfried, and Alistair. The fact that the union mechanic was largely created for this archetype, combined with it having 3 completely different artworks, also cement its iconic status, at least in my opinion. Hell, it's 2021 and they just announced another support card for this guy. Number 6, Lord of Dragons, aka Lord of D. One half of the incredibly popular old school Lord of D plus Suit of Summoning Dragon combo, Lord of D wasn't just imperative to one of Seto Kaiba's most iconic combos in the DM anime, but it also served the role of Deckmaster during the Virtual World arc. I'd like to point out that scored him major points on this list. Lord of D was the perfect choice for the role of Deckmaster, as the card innately gave dragons protection from targeting effects, and with the aid of the previously mentioned Flute of the Summoning Dragon, gave Kaiba the ability to summon high-level tribute boss monsters like Blue Eyes White Dragon from his hand with no tributes. This exact play comes up numerous times throughout the course of the DM anime, and was one of the first blockbuster combos in real-life Yu-Gi-Oh! Lord of D served a very important role in Kaiba's deck as essentially a protector and enabler of his great dragons. Recently, Konami even celebrated the card's legacy with a newer and more modern iteration. Number 5, Crush Card Virus. This is it, Seto Kaiba's legendary Crush Card Virus, the same one he used against Ishizu Ishtar to destroy every single monster in her entire deck, with the exception of Muko and Sacrifice Beast. As Joey put it, Crush Card Virus was brutal in the anime. Forget about destroying high-level monsters that the player drew, like in the real-life version. In the anime, it destroyed them straight from the deck. I'd like to say that it was the most powerful trap card Kaiba used in the show, and in a way it's actually a perfect representation of his personality and dueling style. Seto wants to absolutely demolish, devastate, and crush every single ounce of his opponents. Just like Ring of Destruction, Crush Card Virus was another obscenely powerful trap that was an absolute menace when it was released in the physical card game. It was largely considered an absolute staple for all who could obtain it, which wasn't easy as it was initially a Shonen Jump prize card that only a few duelists in all of North America had. Sure, the card may have only been used a few times in the anime, but it made a huge impact on the fans and definitely on any duelist unlucky enough to get hit by it. Number 4, the Fang of Criteus. This was probably Kaiba's biggest powerhouse in the entire Waking the Dragons arc. The card form of Kaiba's legendary knight Criteus didn't just allow him to summon incredibly powerful fusion monsters, but it also let him basically cheat, something Alistair immediately pointed out in his duel versus Seto. The Fang of Criteus allowed Kaiba to fusion summon using monsters and trap cards as material. for some reason. Of course, at the time Kaiba played the card, that concept was completely unheard of and honestly pretty mind-blowing. Kaiba used the Fang of Criteus on numerous occasions during Waking the Dragons to combine his powerful dragon boss monsters with some of his most powerful trap cards such as Mirror Force and Crush Card Virus for some pretty devastating results such as Mirror Force Dragon and Doom Virus Dragon, both of which had effects that mirrored, no pun intended, their trap counterparts. Also, as stated earlier, this card is the representation of Seto Kaiba's Legendary Knight. Just based on that, I think this card would have made the list because those cards are super iconic themselves. Number 3, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. What's better than having 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon? Apparently combining the 3 monsters into one and losing half the potential damage output. I'll be honest here, I've never really understood all the hype surrounding this card, but without a doubt, it's one of Seto Kaiba's most popular, so it makes the list. Ultimate Blue Eyes is basically what you get if you took the situation from the duel featuring Yugi and Kaiba on the first episode and then just gave Kaiba polymerization. In theory, there would rarely ever be a legitimate reason to consolidate 3 Blue Eyes into one monster, but during the Duelist Kingdom arc where Kaiba first summoned this beast, of course, there was the ridiculous rule of not being able to have direct attacks. Actually, you know what, even with that rule, summoning this card still makes little sense, but I guess you could really say that maybe Kaiba needed it to get over bigger monsters with stupidly high attack values. Honestly, I think it kind of comes down to Ultimate Dragon was more eye candy than anything. Number 2, Obelisk the Tormentor. Even to this very day, nearly 20 years after the Egyptian gods first appeared in the anime, these are arguably the most popular set of cards in this game's history. One of the central themes to the entire Battle City tournament arc, Kaiba was given Obelisk by Ishizu Ishtar. Ironically, this very card would be used in path to Kaiba's victory against Ishizu during their match in the quarterfinals. Obelisk is the most straightforward of the 3 Egyptian god cards and the first to appear in the show. Kaiba uses it to crush basically everyone he summons it against, not named Yugimoto, and the card's iconic status and popularity have literally transcended decades of time. Obelisk appears in video games, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and many consider its revival and summon in Dark Side of Dimensions to be the best and most exciting scene in the movie. To play devil's advocate, I would say theoretically this should have been impossible since Tim took the god cards when he left, and what am I saying? We all know that impossible has never stopped Yu-Gi-Oh! From doing anything. Honorable mentions include Enemy Controller and Chaos Emperor Dragon. Finally, to our number 1, Blue Eyes White Dragon. This should come as a surprise to absolutely no one. There is only one card that could surpass a god, and Blue Eyes White Dragon is it. By the way, I mean that literally. Kaiba gave up Obelisk to summon Blue Eyes when he defeated the Shizu in their duel, so yeah, somehow actually Blue Eyes better than a god card, confirmed, I guess. While the Egyptian gods are keywords arguably the most popular cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, I'd argue Blue Eyes and Dark Magician slightly edge them out. People who have never even played this game know these cards. Blue Eyes has about 50 different versions, and it got its own damn officially licensed cereal, which I don't know why that took 2 decades to become a thing. Regardless, Blue Eyes is basically Yu-Gi-Oh's Charizard, its face, and one of its most iconic cards, period. Heck, they even named the first core booster set after it, and it's Takahashi's favorite card, so there really wasn't another option for the top choice. Well, that is my list. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if I missed any cards or you don't agree with the order, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always.